All right, we're back. It's Thursday, which means it's time for another episode of the Ascend Business Show. Today, we're going to talk about the 4 pillars of social selling. Huge content. You're not going to want to miss this. Get a pen and paper. We'll be back in 60 seconds.
Power to pay. Power to pay.
All right, welcome to the show. We are so excited that you're here. We are going to bring some amazing information for you today that's actionable, you can use right away. And if you are a salesperson, digital marketer, a business owner that's driving sales for your small business, or if you're leading a sales team that is interested in social selling as a strategy for your business, you're going to love this show today because we're going to go through the 4 core pillars of social selling that you must have if you want to be successful in doing this. So we're going to bring in our co-host, Bill Walton. Bill, welcome to the show.
Hey, everybody. James, great to be with you.
So we're going to get into this. We got a lot to share with you today on this. But Bill, I know we were doing some homework before the show. Why don't you give us some information, like why social selling? I know it's pretty mainstream now, but there's still a lot of companies that haven't really wrapped their arms around it yet. There's almost, I'd say 9 out of 10 organizations we speak to are not doing it really that well. They're actually doing the old phone call, maybe some email blasts, maybe some handshakes in person at a coffee diner, networking event. So what's the compelling reason why we should really start to take this seriously?
Well, first off, anyone who's having success, we don't want our talk today to be punitive, right? Most organizations that have not yet fully committed to a social selling strategy are probably having some great success with existing relationships. And I think what organizations are finding is that if they really want to grow organically, they're going to need to embrace this. And there's a couple of factors in the direct marketing and digital marketing institute I want to share with our audience. So, and this is not some companies here, so please excuse me. I think these points are really number one. Anyone engaged in social selling is getting between 45 to 50% more opportunity in their pipeline. They're engaging more, using their tools, using fluency. They've been able to connect their messaging issues today to their ideal prospects. So that's category number one. And they're also 51% more likely to sales manager on the planet would want to enhance goal attainment for their success. So that's number two. Number three, 78% of salespeople that are selling on social media are outselling their peers who aren't on it.
Wow.
So that's a pretty compelling data. But I think more compelling data is customers and buyers want to buy social. They like this connection in either space, right? We talk selfishly at salespeople. We want to I don't have to do the coffee talk meeting. I can save a few weeks out of my sales process. That's wonderful. But who else is looking for productivity, right? Folks who are selling, right? And anyone we're selling to probably managing a business or has some job consequences and has to have impact on whatever they're buying from us. So they don't have a lot of time, right? So they prefer this, and they prefer the insights. They prefer interacting digitally because we're kind of forced to a year and a half. So I would say that the weather vane is pointing to true north for organizations that want to and need to engage more deeply in social selling. So that's why I was so excited about the 4 pillars today, because we have a lot of goodies for our audience today.
We do. I mean, we're on this thing, guys. we're all on this thing more than ever, right? Did 50% uptick? Yeah, 50% uptick usage just in the last year from the pandemic, right? So if we're not playing to win on here, we're missing the boat. We're missing the boat. I'm going to throw in one more factoid because we've already thrown enough at you. Why would you want another one? But if you look at the trend on the future, and you look at the emerging demographics of the next generation of leaders, executives, and buyers, we're talking about the millennials and the Gen Z generation, right? There's a huge uptick in usage and preference to buying and selling via social media as a premium, preferred method and channel. So it's kind of one of those, if you weren't the pioneer, then maybe people thought you were crazy. I think we're past that now. We're definitely in that stage two. Even past early adopters. Like, this needs to be a serious strategy if you want to have a digital business today. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is what are the 4 pillars, right? Well, step one is you want to get specific with your list building, meaning you need to be. There's no reason with the tools that are out there today that you can't get exact with who you want to work with as a client. Now, you might look at your client base right now and say, geez, I got customers that are in a bunch of different industries. There really isn't a rhyme or reason. Or you might say, you know what? We are very specific with a particular industry. And we have this assumption, and this happens all the time, see this too. We have this belief or assumption that I don't think my buyers are online for what we do. We're too niche. I don't think they're out there. Heard that too. Well, in both of those cases, I'm here to tell you, they are. This is an old statistic, right? Old statistic, 72% of B2B buyers are on LinkedIn. In some cases, I would say that's probably 90 to 95% for some industries right now. They're online. Everybody's online. Somewhere, somehow. It's just a matter of focus and where do you want to play? What clients would you like more of? Because here's the thing. This is intuitive. If once I say this, you're like, well, that's obvious. We all know the answer, but we're not doing it. That's the problem. Is the reason why social selling is the 4 pillar strategy number 1 is that people aren't doing this. You're being too broad. You're trying to serve too many different customers or industry segments or decision maker level, owner, C-suite, director, manager. It's all over the place. So you can't expect to have a very efficient, consistent, or sustainable sales process if you're not in first focus gear, right?
Yeah, and I would say, you might be thinking, there's never been a better time right now to procure a list for your prospecting. We can name 10 services right now that can get you a list and get you more details than name, rank, and serial number. It's pretty powerful today, and hats off to the solution providers that have been able to do that credibly. And really, I think we're part of that. But values industry and role specific. So when you look at something, hey, I want a director of sustainability or a VP of sustainability or a CFO or CIO, you have to, when you're building your list, really think about, okay, in that industry and for their role, what issues do I think that they are facing and addressing, and how high do I want to go in that organization, right? I remember all those scripts from 20 years ago about selling C-suite, selling video, really powerful books, selling books in this time. But they weren't really, it was almost too much influence and not enough context for the solution, and it's just too far removed from the impact of that particular solution. So here's the one of the things, James, we promise on our show, both our podcasts and our lives is good. So when you're thinking about building this, one of the tools that I've been able to use because we still carry the bag, is Google the job description of who you think will be your ideal stakeholder or your ideal buyer. Here's what I mean by that. Most job descriptions will tell you the job responsibilities, span of control, expectations. And most of them, quite frankly, and every HR professional will tell you that they're probably a perfect list, right? A shoot from the native who stars list. But what you do though, is if you start looking through the job descriptions, you just Google them, look on LinkedIn profiles, recruiters, online recruiters, posting those descriptions all over the internet. So you'll find them. Is look for the nuances and the difference. Who has the different span of control? How does their organization look at value and what they're expecting from their people? So if you're looking at it, you can get 3 different job descriptions for a particular role in the industry. Now you can get a sense for who might be ideal. And that, what's the link to social selling is now you have some context. Now I can start Googling or researching some of those issues in those spans of control. So now you are a little bit more, what we like to say, issue fluent, to be able to drive that conversation, have a point of view, and create your messaging. Not to get a hold of today, we're staying on the business building pillar. But that's really key. And luckily, there's some tools that most, I would imagine, most of our audience has access to. I'm thinking not only LinkedIn, but Sales Navigator.
Yep.
There's never been a better time to self-build a list. Let me just kind of pause there and have you reflect on some of the things I shared. And your point of view, you and everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, you've always heard this before. Don't go a mile wide and an inch deep. It's better to go a mile deep and an inch wide. And so it's the same with the list that we're talking about with list building. There's no reason with all the tools out there, whether it's Sales Navigator, a lot of people I know use ZoomInfo or some other list building tools, you can get a list of literally the same person 1,000 times over across the country or even across the world if you want to do global business, and you can. It's available. So it will be much easier to then go through these next 3 pillars and actually build your sales process effectively for social selling if this is right. If this is not right, it makes everything that much more difficult. So do yourself a favor, get specific with who you want to sell to, and be okay with that, because I'm telling you, you're worried about maybe getting enough business, you're worried about maybe getting enough leads or sales meetings. It will be 10 times harder to do if you're not focused. So get focused. Your message, which is pillar number 2, will be so much better because your messaging will be the same for every single buyer. Because why? It's the same buyer. It's the same buyer in the same industry with the same business problems, more or less. So you don't have to do as much homework. You don't have to try to serve everybody. You are now an expert and really a thought leader, because you are only addressing issues and situations and circumstances for this particular market.
And here's the advantage to that doesn't get talked about enough, right? If you're with me, that I think everyone's experiencing, and I know I get asked this question, we get asked this question. So Bill, what's the best way to do prospecting today? Do I need to do social media? Do I need to do list building? Do I use email? Should I use my phone? Should I use text? If I'm in a particular industry and I might still have a fax machine, do I use that? I would say it's all fair game with the right orchestration and the right message. One of the things that if you are truly a strategic salesperson, that you're working on is building an ecosystem of introductions and referrals. In some sectors, financial services, insurance, for example, we call those centers of influence, or referral, inbound, introduction, ecosystem, whatever legally we want to put to it. They're your de facto sales force. So they need to know who's right. So if you're thinking about, I don't want to go too niche, I don't want to wall myself off from other opportunity. Well, in fact, the universe needs to know who's right. Because your best business typically comes from referral or introduction, whether it be from existing clients or other credible sources. So that's one of the things you want to look at in terms of your list building focus, because that focus is going to help you and give you exponential opportunity in social media and for your network, because now they know who's right. Now you know who's right.
Yep.
And why existing clients find value when you work with them, and then how you can parlay that to others.
Absolutely. And that will, again, creating the right messaging becomes that much more natural and easy, because you're really almost always having the same conversation. Imagine going to a networking event, online or virtual, it doesn't matter. But imagine that networking event is literally the same person is in the room. It's the business owner or the VP of XYZ company doing the same kind of product or service. You are literally in that ecosystem And if you're bouncing around conversation to conversation and you're hearing the same things come up, that's what you want to do, because now you have mastery of the conversations that are happening in this space. You can talk about it easier, you can bring it up quicker, and you know what's kind of burning hot on the stove for what's going on in their business and what industry pressures they're facing. You can talk about that right away because you already know. You've been in the conversations. They keep happening every week. Just stay there. It's so tempting, I know, to want to go left or right and look at all the other things going on in the world. It's so easy. It's so easy. But I'm telling you, put the blinders on, block it out, commit to this room, so to speak, for 3 months. Give it 90 days. I'm telling you, it will blow your mind on how much progress you can make with quality relationships, quality conversation, and have incredible, meaningful, right to the point sales conversations where you're not dancing around, you're not doing, hey, let's get to know you. You don't have to do any of that anymore. You can bypass all of it because of this approach.
I want to come back to our goodies concept, and we might have talked about this on the podcast. By the way, we're gonna pimp and promote our podcast before we leave today, so that's coming too. But here's a messaging framework that I have found really helpful and credible in the social media and email context. So let me just kind of give you this 3-part messaging, and I'm not going to give you a sample. I just want you to think about it. So the first part is, and very important because this has context for LinkedIn. We're going to talk about this concept view profile. So James, don't let me forget that.
Mm-hmm.
The first piece is establishing who you are, right? Not so much your title and what you do. It's, who you are in the industry, in the context of the realm of the space that you and this particular buyer or prospect is operating in. So that's introduce yourself with context. So that's number one. The second thing is yes, talk about what you do, but more about the problems you solve and the opportunities that you're creating for your clients. Part A, and part B, and why they continue, they value your involvement in their business. That's the credibility statement. Why they keep you hanging around. What they get from your organization and your personal involvement in their business. That's the credibility piece. And the third is, hey, I'm reaching out because most of our folks are at this particular level of time or role in this particular industry or sub-industry, and they're currently experiencing issues with blank. I thought we could have a conversation about that. So it gets out why you're calling me. So I'm credible, I'm hanging around your space. I've got clients, happy, here's what they value for me and my organization, and I just love serving them, working with them. Here's why I thought we could connect. Credible, politely professional, with a little bit of candor and humility, and also stating purpose. And you're going to be able to segue that to reasons to meet or reasons to engage. So if you can use those 3 parts, that should get you in a really good position to really meet anyone online on social media, in written word, or video, or in your email outreach if you're using that as a tool, which most of us are.
Yep, absolutely. So it starts to get easier, right? Once you're starting to you can feel it too. You can feel like you're getting in the zone, that feeling of in the zone, because you're focused and you feel good about being over the target, so to speak, on what's going on in your ideal client's business and what they want to talk about. That's the key here. So I'm going to break for a second. I know we like to give a lot of goodies away. We're going to give another one away right now. This is the goodie of the month, free download for you. But if you want an easy exercise, this never fails. I did this just last week, and I realized there's probably a dozen people that I wasn't thinking about that I needed to follow up with and talk to that were ready to have a conversation. But it's called 21 ways to accelerate your lead business pipeline. And it's a self thing. You do it for 45 minutes. It will blow you away. But you just go through all these little buckets that you've already worked in for the last 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. You look under there and you realize, oh my goodness, I haven't followed up with any of these people. And they probably need to hear from me. My world's changed. My life's changed. Your world's changed. It's a good time to re-nurture that relationship. So you can get that for free. Just text the word send to that number there, and it will send it to you right away today, automatically. So it's a free gift from us to you. But use it, and I'm telling you, you will have new leads today if you follow that exercise. It's truly one of the best things that we always do here to send. So
Excellent.
let's get to pillar number 3. I'm going to let that roll for a second. 3, this is a big one. This is, if you got the first 2 right, which a lot of people can do, they get their list tight, they get some good messaging, they're definitely experts and they know what's going on in the marketplace. This then is where the majority of folks stop and fail. And it's not their fault. It's because of this issue with technology that we have to learn. We have to learn something new that we're not used to. We don't have a habit around it yet. And therefore, I'm more likely to quit before I see success, just like anything else in life. And so this is a showstopper, but executing a social selling sales process. What the heck does that even mean? Right? What is it?
For you to tell us.
What is a social selling sales process? Well, you have one, or maybe you've never had one. I don't know. Some of you don't have one at all, and you just wing it every day. Or if you're in a company that's had one for a while, you have some kind of sales process. So I'm here to give you some assurance that it's not difficult to learn. 2, there definitely is a process that you need to adhere to and repeat consistently to get a result that you want. Those 2 things I can promise you. The method can be adaptable, but essentially here's the deal, right? Is when you start connecting with folks online, that's step 1. You have a warm window, really. The shelf life goes away, right? If I connect with you today and you don't talk for 2 months, I'll forget that we connected today. Heck, I'll forget that we connected a week from now, right? So you got to seize the moment when you connect with folks and take advantage of it. But as soon as you connect with people online, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you like to focus your business, all the above, you got to have a sales process where you have the assertiveness to say, hey, happy for the connection. Glad to get to know you. What do you think about blank as a conversation starter? And start to put some energy into that relationship. If you don't do that, you might as well take the word social out of selling because you ain't got it. You're not being social at all. You're crabbing your desk. Right? So that's the first thing. You want to move these conversations along a sales process where you warm them up, you get to build some rapport, trust, expertise, thought leadership, and those exchanges. And then because they can see who you are from a good branding of your profile and the content that you are hopefully putting out there, that they can see that you are actually a business that serves their business. That's really, really important.
Well, let's talk a little. Let's stay on this and talk a little bit more about how we do that. One of the things that social media is, and I know certainly using LinkedIn, you can't default too quickly to the pitch, the tell, or the ask if you haven't earned the right.
Yep.
And this is where I've never seen the power of the question come back. All the hens have come back to roost now in terms of what we learned in the 90s and the 2000s around consultative selling, all the books we all read. Right, to invite inquiry and a point of view. I will tell you, as an executive coach and as a sales behavioralist, I will tell you, I see knees buckle when people are asked their opinion, their point of view, or what they think. And if you want to have success in the social selling context when you're making your first connection, and you genuinely want to know because you have something to share of your own, you have to do the right inquiry or stimulate it. And the power of that question's got to relate to it. It all comes back to the value as industry role specific. That stakeholder, that person, that business in their shoe. That's what we want to program. We want to get a little bit more context, get their spoken words, because then now we know what directions to take in engagement. We also know what to offer, what resources to put them in touch with, or maybe make another introduction to someone that might be able to help them.
Yep.
So but you can't do that without that inquiry. So just remember the power of the question, and you engage with us. We create a whole literally a dictionary and a database of questions on this to be able to support you. And I think that's something we'd like to share with our audience ongoing. to help you, because that I think is a sticking point change in terms of where people kind of get stalled in this social selling. Gosh, you get a connection. I'm like, now what? So
Well, yeah.
that's what the next what in terms of how to engage and stay engaged.
Now think about it. I'm going to give some very practical goodies right now on how to actually do this, right? You have to have a visual representation of your sales process. You have to, because it's too hard to do up here. Remember everything up here. If you're not tracking your lead data somewhere, you're going to miss people. That's why we just gave you the 21 leads to accelerate your pipeline, to remember folks that you forgot, because they probably aren't in your CRM, or they probably aren't on follow-up right now. So once you do that exercise, add those people to your CRM, put them on a tickler reminder so you don't forget them again. That'll help you out. But what you need is, if you don't have a CRM, if you're not familiar with customer relationship management system, it's just a hub where you hold all of your lead data, all of your relationship data, all your client data, and you're managing it. And there's tons of them out there. A lot of you use Salesforce, a lot of you use HubSpot, a lot of you use Pipedrive. We have our own CRM, Sense CRM. You should check it out. It's really, really cool. It's really cool. But I'm happy to give you a free demo if you want to see what that looks like. No problem. But what you want is a visual representation of left to right. What are the steps in your sales process, and how do they move to the next step? Because the whole point of this, right, is to move a sale forward. That hasn't changed. We're just doing it via social media now. So what are the steps to move across the social media sales process to get to a sales pitch meeting, discovery meeting, pitching the deal, closing the deal? What is it for you? And what are the KPIs for following a sales process? If you've been in sales before, if you've been running the business before, you know you need to talk to X amount of people in a week. You need to have X amount of sales calls in a month or in a week. You need to send X amount of proposals over, right? Everyone has to do that. But what are the KPIs and how are you tracking it? It's no different for this. You got to have a checklist. I love trackers. We have a CRM and a tracking system. I can every day say, yep, I've engaged my commitment to profiles today, my new connections today. Yep, I've sent out my new messages today. Yep, I've followed through with proposals. Yep, I've checked off all the folks that are in that middle bucket of needing to move forward and kind of just restoking the fire again. You got to have some lists or check tools to make sure you're following a process every day.
And let's talk about reality, right? Pipeline math is very sobering. I use the analysis of the salesperson has $1 million quota and a 25% close ratio. Where we all get excited. My pipeline's getting close to $1 million. I'm going to have an amazing year. Not realizing that, to achieve your quota, just to hit it, forget about exceeding it, to make it, you need to have 4 times the opportunity in your pipeline, because you're only going to close 25% of that. Then oftentimes what happens with salespeople is they come to that realization too late in the year, and then they haven't considered, what's the makeup of the deal size that's going to help me create the bulk of this pipeline is going to get me to my number. So if you're just depending on your solution, whether you have straight line pricing or different ways to engage your organization, you got to take a look at your mix of business goals in terms of what you're selling, to make sure that, and also the close timeline, not only the close duration, but the sales window.
Mm-hmm.
The sales cycle for that particular deliverable or solution. So, you really got to be more intentional around that. So that's why we shift the social selling. If we're going to come back to the data, right? Data is very fresh. DMI, sellers are getting 45% more opportunity by using social selling. They're 51% more likely to hit their goal, and 40% to 45% of buyers and potential prospects prefer the social engagement method and pathway. So, not to sell what we're selling today, but come back to reality in terms of the pipeline math when you need to, create. And we're going to segue now, I guess, to pillar number 4. That as part of your sales process is that you need to do this to make sure that you're going to hit your goals and get you the right opportunity and create the right focus.
Absolutely. The math doesn't change. In fact, anything, you should always have math in this. And the things to consider that Bill mentioned is is your offer or delivery of services scalable? And depending on the math, what size deals do you need to get you to that number? And most likely you could probably find some more ways to structure the deal to make more margin. And you could probably find some ways pretty quickly to realize you probably aren't doing enough in general to get more of those things happening. So it's usually a combination of more than one thing. It's not usually just one thing. So just a heads up. But the last pillar, guys, is pillar 4. And this, again, you could do all the first 3. But if this doesn't happen, then you might as well not even do the first 3. Seriously. Because if you don't consistently show up online with your brand and your content, this, people forget about you. Why? Because we're thumb scrolling all day on our phones. I'm looking at, I think the old statistic before this thing got really crazy was I think we get like something like 26,000 messages to our brain in a day. Something crazy like that, right? In our frontal cortex, we can only remember maybe like 50, on recall. Like, dude, we got to keep hitting our audience up, or they're going to forget, right? So not only that, but your content has to be represented visually in a way that, 1, we like to consume it in that particular manner, and 2, it's got to be relevant to what I do, or I don't care, right? So it's a huge uphill lift. I know, as the digital marketer who's nodding with me right now as you're listening to that. And maybe the salesperson or the executive that's like, man, I don't know anything about that stuff. I don't even know how to craft that. Just forget it. No. I know that's the easy answer. Don't do that. Lean into this. I know it sucks at first and I know it's hard, but this is essential for you to have a proper social selling strategy and system for your business. You got to have content out there, period.
Well, here's what it comes back to, right? The seller of now and the future has to be one that brings valuable insights and has a high level of business acumen, right? And I'm going to give you an example of that. We were working with a prospect that is in the industrial and the commercial space and has a solution or solutions that are focused on a particular industry, namely automotive. And something came across my desk and feed around a recent car manufacturer's commitment, huge multi-billion-dollar commitment to battery technology and committing that their entire lineup of their cars would move to EV by a certain target date. The research or the article is recent, September 27th, today's the 30th. And it was big news. Okay, well, I read that, saw the visual, and so immediately started thinking, this person, so what? What's so what to that is, well, that's exciting. That car manufacturer is going to commit to EV. So like, no, what does that do about the auto industry and the supply chain that is created over the last 100 some odd years? From parts suppliers to connectors, to windshields, to tires, to other various parts and components. That's all going to be different. And most of these EV manufacturers don't have the depth and the breadth of a dealer network to be able to service and have the knowledge to be able to support these new cars. So I thought that was a great opportunity for this particular prospect, is to take a news article, a very hotly trending idea, an article, a concept, and make it work for them. If nothing else, say, hey, I came across this today. Here's what I'm thinking. What do you think? Are you seeing the same thing? That's social selling. That's got to be part of the process. We can't do it if we aren't doing our homework in building our business acumen so that all of our content has context and it's issue fluent and relevant. And that's why I think I'm so happy for the digital marketing groups that we've been able to work with and partner with, because they've been preaching this for a while and then they have a lot of research. So it's wonderful to see now these digital marketing groups marrying up with sales and folks like us too. It kind of creates this kind of triumvirate of social selling power and insight and connection that is really winning the day. And I would just selfishly say I'm so glad we're a part of it now, because we're seeing the results, and it's very gratifying. It can be very gratifying for both sellers your buyers.
Absolutely. And I know, as if you're a bigger company that's listening to this and you're like, man, we know this, you're right. We need to have content marketing. Our challenge though is how do we equip our sales force to all use it and what to use when? And, great question, right? That is a challenge that's out there. That there's systems and tools that are available today to streamline that really give the end seller here the power and the disposal right at their fingertips to use all these things with ease to get in front of their marketplace and their buyers so they're getting the right content at the right time. And we can tell you how to use it. iSpots, our new partners, is really great at that. And we have some tools ourselves at Ascend how we equip our clients to do that. So, but you want to have, this is all about, really at the end of this now, that we get into the end, we're talking about sales enablement here. That's what that is. It's giving you the tools and systems and the playbook and the simple steps to do all this very, very easily in a matter of hours in a week. That will do all of your business development activities in a few hours a week, where you're not having to drive 2 hours for a meeting that lasts 30 minutes and may be nothing. There's so much wasted motion, really, when you go back and look at our old sales processes out there versus now. It's really remarkable how much we can get done in a fraction of the time.
And I would just want to offer our audience today the opportunity, no matter where you sit right now. Hey, look, I'm looking to get started. I kind of dip my toe in the water of social selling, or you know what, I'm kind of halfway on my journey. I want to go deeper. I want to be better at it. Or if you're in a role where you're looking to move your organization in that direction and really harness the power of it and build culture around it, give us a call. Come up to Ascend Advisors. That's advisors with an E, advisors.com. And give us a call. We're happy to sit with you and share with you what we're seeing, how to get started. There's a lot of lessons we've shared with you already today on this broadcast. But I'm really happy. We really want to build a community around this to help everyone be successful, because I think we owe it back to the universe because it's helped us. And we still carry it back and we do it, right? We're in the kitchen with our own cooking as we share this with you. So you'll see us online, hopefully walking the talk. But I just wanted to offer that, James, to our listeners, that they always have access to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll let that roll one more time at least. But if you don't know where to start, it's fine. Most people don't. Most people aren't sure if they're doing all the right things when it comes to digital sales and marketing. It's a big undertaking. It's not supposed to be easy. It's hard. Digital transformations for businesses are essential, but they're extremely challenging. It's to be expected. Why? Again, you're learning new stuff. When you're learning new stuff for the first time, it's always hard. It's always hard. Once you start to get familiar, get streamlined, you'll never look back. It is like a super speed highway for how to do your business today. So give us a buzz if you want to just talk, and we can do a free audit with you. We'll take a look at what you're up to, give you some recommendations, and go from there. But if you got value out of today's show, let us know. If you feel like someone else would benefit from this, share us out. Thanks for joining the Ascend Business Show today with my co-host, Bill Waldman. I'm James Jacoby. Come check us out on the podcast. We're now on iTunes and Spotify. And we'll be here for you every Thursday.
Good selling, everybody.
Thank you.